Welcome to L Said What? And this this live stream should have started a little earlier. So if anybody stopped by at 2:45, I apologize for being late. Just a second, and I'll update you all on what's going on with Richard Allen and what I mean by a season of confessions. So just give me about 10 seconds here. Okay, so Richard Allen was in court today, or yeah, his attorneys were in court earlier, and there are pretrial motions. And what Allen's attorneys are trying to get rid of are the confessions. And according to one, person who testified, Indiana State Police Holman, he swears that he said on the stand that at the pretrial that Richard Allen confessed more than 60 times. Hence the name Season of Confessions, because the majority of the confessions happened between a certain time period, between April and July of last year, which would be 2023. And those confessions coincided with the appearance of Richard Allen's mental illness. Remember, Richard Allen's attorneys are claiming that his mental state has destabilized. There are reports of Allen ingesting, his own waste, his own feces. So, this is what I wanted to catch you guys up on. So, the judge didn't make a decision today. She's going to hear a summary of arguments on Thursday, then take it under advisement. However, Allen confessed mostly to his wife, and he confessed to his mother. Those are the phone call confessions. And Indiana State Police Holman says that he listened to, I believe, about 150 hours of Richard Allen's phone calls. Listen, I've had to listen to up to 2,000 hours of wiretap phone calls. It Most people don't lead exciting lives, but Holman did say in that 150 hours that yes, that Richard Allen confessed multiple times to his wife Kathy and to his mother. Those two women mostly. However, Holman testified that Kathy or his mother would express disbelief, and they changed the subject. So Harshman, maybe that's who. Okay, so yeah, that's Jerry Holman from the Indiana State Police. So so there's another witness, Harshman, who testified that Richard Allen is concerned with the evidence and the photographs that were presented against him, and that he's concerned that of the effect of crime scene photographs on his family. Listen, if he can show concern about the evidence against him, that means he understands it. If he shows concern about how his family is going to feel seeing the crime scene photos, I'm not sure that he was mentally ill, because all of that was going on during the season of confessions. So the defense did have an expert on false confessions testify at the hearing, which is everything. There does, an expert can help people understand why someone would confess to a horrible crime that they didn't commit. So the expert, Dr. Monica Walla, Walla, she testified that within 6 months of being transferred to Westville Correctional, we've spoken of that for his pre-trial stay. He was transferred to Westville Correctional Prison in Indiana. That she testified that Richard Allen was in a cage, like with a prison within a prison, and that the and that with the conditions at Westville, she believes made him deteriorate. Because he was isolated. So isolated, a prison within a prison, it almost sounds like the whole. But I'm not sure that Richard Allen would have done any better, you know, being in a regular cell. So Dr. Monica Waller, she claimed that Richard Allen, that you know, guards, inmates scream things at him like baby killer, kill yourself. And that can affect a mental state, true. And there is a very famous case that an attorney cannot ignore of going after a false confession, especially if their client is inside of jailhouse or prison walls when the confession happens. And that's Fullamonte. And that's a different video. Fullamonte was actually inside of a prison when he confessed. Only his confession was vacated by the Supreme Court of the United States. But you know, Richard Allen, this expert who saw Richard Allen, Dr. Monica Waller, she's saying that she saw him marked in May of 2023, and that Richard Allen told her that he wanted to tell the truth, about the murders, that he wanted to confess, and did give her some details of the crime. So Dr. Monica Waller saying that she talked to Richard Allen through a little crack, that he was in his cell and she had to talk to him through a little crack in the cell. Well, welcome to prison life, people. That is how one talks to a mental health expert while incarcerated, through the crack of their jailhouse door or their cell door. So do you all think? I definitely believe that Richard Allen being charged with killing 13-year-old and a 14-year-old girl, I do believe that, yes, guards and inmates probably were taunting him. Do I believe that he was taunted enough to where he lost his mind? No. Do I believe being placed in a cage like prison, a jail cell, that one could lose their mind? I know I probably definitely would. So when Richard Allen was transferred from Westville to Terre Haute, or was it? Yeah, he was transferred to Terre Haute in Wabash Correctional. An officer claims that he heard Richard Allen apologize for killing the victims, and that he said he wanted to tell the truth. We've heard that before. So the former warden, John Gallipo, he's the former warden of Westville Correctional. He said he was standing outside of Richard Allen's cell, and that Richard Allen again confessed to the murders, and that he actually said the names Abigail and Libby. So other than that, the judge did order Richard Allen to be sent to Cass County Jail to await his trial. And there's still the evidence of the state claiming to have a bullet linking Richard Allen's gun to the murders. However, Abby and Libby are said by the state to have died of cutting wounds. And there is another witness who claims that an inmate told him that Richard Allen disposed of a box cutter in a dumpster behind the CVS where he worked in Delphi. Remember, Richard Allen was a physician's assistant. Listen, unless a jailhouse snitch can tell me something that's not in the news, and that thing can be actually proven, I don't put stock into jailhouse snitches. More of them have been found to be lying than to tell the truth, or just as many of them have been found to be lying than it is telling the truth. Now, listen, the witness Harshman, he said that all of these confessions, which happened between April and July of 2023, that they coincide with Richard Allen in late March claiming that he found Christ. And so he claims in late March that he found Christ. Then April through July, there's confession season. So we're still back to where we started as the public. Do you believe that Richard Allen, who's not ever been incarcerated before, being in a maximum security prison, awaiting trial, not having been convicted of anything, that the conditions there, his isolation there is so harsh that his brain debilitated to the point where he just started confessing to the murders of a 13 and a 14-year-old girl? Or do you think that guilt got to Richard Allen? What do you think about the mental illness period? Because there are inmates who get upset and spread feces all over their cell. There are inmates who get upset and they'll do something called flooding their cell, which is something they actually do by overflowing the toilet. I don't know that I buy mental illness. I think that if one is guilty, facing punishment for double homicide, the everyone, friends, family, neighbors know that police, that law enforcement, they're accusing you. Your wife knows they're accusing you. Your mother knows they're accusing you. I think that that could be just as big of a mind fudge as facing life in prison for double homicide, or in Indiana, I believe, is a death penalty state. So Thursday, the judge will hear final summations and then she'll make the decision. And, listen, when a jury hears a confession, it is very hard for the defense to get around that. And Dr. Walla, who testified about false confessions, said that Richard Allen did give her some details of the crime. The question is, did Richard Allen give her details that he could not have found any other way? And with false confessions, I know that was my area of study when I was in wrongful convictions and when I do appellate law, that false convictions, there will be multiple. And a lot of times, the false confession, what the inmate or what the defendant found out, literally came from the person, the detective or the police officer who is interrogating them. And there's no tape of Richard Allen's. There are no tape of Richard Allen in an interrogation room confessing to a detective. There are jailhouse phone calls during which time he says he's mentally unstable. So, do you think that the conditions of Westville prison and Terre Haute, the correctional center in Terre Haute, do you think that the conditions in those prisons debilitated Richard Allen's mind to the point where he started to falsely confess, you know, supposedly looking for some relief? Or do you think that it was guilt? And what do you think about the claim of mental illness? Richard Allen is on Halidol, by the way. He's been given Halidol for depression, anxiety, and for his disorganized thinking. But in the United States, if he wasn't disorganized at the time of those murders, if he was able to try to cover them up and a judge and or jury finds those facts to be proven by the state, he's still going to a correctional facility for the rest of his life. But yeah, Richard Allen told Monica Walla that he found God March 2023. And Walla said that Richard Allen was able to share the details of his activities that day, February 13th, 2017. That was 6 years later. Do you think 6 years and 1 month from today that you can tell somebody what you were doing today? So, once again, sorry, so sorry that I'm late, but I did want to give that update on Richard Allen. Arguments were heard, and apparently, the state claims that Richard Allen confessed more than 60 times. Hence, the season of confessions. So, thanks to anybody who stops by and give this video a listen. Do me a favor, if you like the video, then like the video and share the video if you want to keep the conversation going. Thanks for listening. This is Elle, and this is Elle Said What, and I'll talk to you guys later.